Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Human Echoes podcast.
I'm Albert Berg.
I'm Tony Southcott.
We're coming to you today with our review of Pitch Perfect from the second week of Viewer's Choice Month.
I just want to say that all the goodwill I had towards our friends is pretty much vanished at this point. Like, this was an atrocity, and it's pretty much one of the worst things I've ever witnessed in my entire life.
For those of you who might be coming into this without context, Mr. Southcott hates musicals with a burning passion.
I hate musicals, and I hate people that, make... I don't know. It's weird. Acapella stuff, pisses me off on a very visceral level. It reminds me of whenever I lost my gym class back in 5th and 6th grade to do Treasure Island. Things like that.
What?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what started all this, all my hate for musicals.
I don't understand. Elaborate. You lost your gym class to do Treasure Island. That sentence does not parse in English to people who don't know what's going on in your brain, Tony.
Well, back in the day, I was a wee lad. I was the very tallest kid in my class, and I would stand at the top of the risers dead center and stare out over everybody in my tall glory. And once a year we had to do a musical program. Actually, it was twice a year because we would do a Christmas program and we would do a standard Treasure Island, whatever. This specifically was about Treasure Island. And they blew a bunch of smoke up our ass saying that they've been watching our class and we're the special ones and this is a harder program, but they think we can pull it off and all this. But it's going to take certain sacrifice. And that sacrifice was pulling me out of gym class for 6 weeks to spend an extra hour every day practicing Treasure Island. And it made me hate music for a long time.
So what you're saying is, you got to get out of gym class to go and sing for an entire extra hour, and you had a problem with that?
I have a major problem with that, because PE was one of the only things I actually liked about school at that point. Because I was athletic, I was able to have fun. It was breaking the tedium of the day. And instead, I have to go up there and sing a neutered version of Treasure Island. They made us sing Yo Ho Ho in a bottle of pop instead of a bottle of rum. And that was the breaking point for me. I stopped singing. I stopped doing the hand motions and dancing stuff. Yeah, I stopped doing all that. So at the very top of the risers, dead center and everything, was just a kid with his arms crossed staring at the teacher for an hour every day. And every day my hatred grew stronger.
You and I had very different experiences with singing in high school, Tony.
This wasn't high school. This was 5th grade.
Well, still, I would have done it in 5th grade too. But I was in homeschool at 5th grade, so they couldn't do that.
Would have been a much different program for you, homeschool.
I was in band in homeschool. They had to drive for an hour to get to the place where they would practice, and practice for an hour, and then drive back for an hour. That was my experience, and I still loved it. You know why, Tony? Because music is freaking awesome, and when you get to be a part of a group, and they're singing together, and you're hitting it, and your part is going good, and everybody else's part is going good, it all fits together, and it's just boom!
And I never got that feeling once, because it was stupid, and it was neutered. You don't make kids say bottle of pop. You're talking about pirates! If you can't say rum, then go fuck yourself.
Oh, wow. The vitriol is strong with Tony Southcott.
I sat there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and all I wanted to do was run around. Maybe throw a ball at somebody's head. Maybe play some hockey. We had a lot of fun stuff. We had all sorts of fun games that we got to play all the time. And instead, I had to go sit there in front of fat Mrs. Dunges and basically sing and sing and sing, and it ruined any liking of musicals for me.
So you didn't get to... Did you ever, before this happened, did you ever get to sing stuff that you enjoyed, Tony? Was there any moment where you're like, this song is cool, I'm glad we get to sing this song?
No, never.
No.
I've been in, like, we were in musical programs from the time that I was 6 years old onward. Never once enjoyed it. Like, whenever I was in church, if people were singing, I hated it. Like, honestly,
I've had those moments where I'm like, I don't want to be doing this, but it's because I thought the song was stupid. Like, if we got into a song that I really liked, I'm like, yes!
I have, like, a mental block
Ron Hamilton
towards
bull
it.
crap. That guy gets paid a quarter every time somebody changes dynamics. Suck it, Patch the Pirate!
But, like,
Nobody's gonna get that
that
reference unless you're, like, in a church choir singing Ron Hamilton songs, but holy crap, does that guy ever do a bunch of crescendos and decrescendos? I know, now we're doing this dynamic. Whoa! We're going back down now. Well, why did we go back? Why did we go up for 2 seconds? Oh! Hate Ron Hamilton. Sorry.
I'm sure you and I hate him on the same level. But, like, I've never felt like part of a group while singing or anything. I've always felt like I was completely outside of it, and I'm sitting there staring at these people, like, hands up and, like, happy and everything, and I'm like, I wish that you would just walk into the parking lot and get hit by a semi-truck. Like,
so this
and
is
then
obviously...
I hope the semi-truck backs over you. And then I hope that your family watches it, and then the semi-truck goes after your family, hasta la vista style.
This is obvious. We're straying away from reviewing the movie directly, but I do want to dig into your psychology a little bit here, because hearing you say that makes me a little bit sad.
Yeah, people have told me that on Reddit before. Not because
you didn't like the movie, but because you didn't ever get to have that experience of enjoying music that you made. Like, with your mouth. You know, the most pure expression of musicality is singing, and you've never been able to have joy from that. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, you know, you feel how you feel, and that's fine, but I mean, I get a lot of joy out of singing and hearing people sing well, and, like, for me, the singing part was the strongest part of the movie. I really enjoyed all the arrangements. The a cappella stuff was just super spot on. Again, for me, you know, I liked the way they mixed the songs together, and they were obviously very talented in the way they performed them. So I definitely didn't come with the reactionary psychosis that you had. But
yeah, essentially, like, every time the treble people, whatever they like, treble makers, came on screen, like, I grabbed the trash can and put it in my lap. Like, anytime they came up there, just be, like, I think it was honestly the perky attitude more than the music. It was just this, like, oh, we're gonna sing and dance and just be so into it. And I'm like, you guys are men. You guys are, like, you should be proud men. This isn't good or allowed. Like, this is just...
They were proud of what they were doing. What are you talking about? They
shouldn't have been, though. Like, it was just bad. Like, seriously, like, go join a real band.
You have a podcast, Tony! You're not
and what does that relate to music
down on
at
people
all?
for not being real men because they get up in front of an audience full of people and sing like that.
Yeah,
sing
and
really
that's
well.
Not, like, there's nothing manly about that. It's just crap. It's just forcing people to listen to stuff that's half-baked, half-crap.
Curse your chauvinistic attitude, Tony, because men can have fun singing too. Men do have fun singing. As a man, I have fun singing. Tony's wrong.
I think it's wrong for women to sing like that too, but that's just me. It should be given up in childhood.
How would you like them to sing, Tony? You would like them not to sing. In the perfect world, they're just up there with electric guitars and drums.
Yeah, there needs to be some sincerity, some soul behind it if they're gonna sing something. This movie just didn't have any soul
behind those songs.
I did not feel any sincerity. That was the only thing in the movie that
had a ton of sincerity.
It did not. They're sitting there, and it's just, like, over-polished Hollywood crap for songs that didn't really, like, how many times did we have to listen to Ace of Base? Tell me that song had sincerity and soul in it.
What are you talking about?
The Ace of Base song that they kept, like, I saw the sign over and over and over, like, no less than 6 separate times.
That was the point, though. They were overusing it. Like, that was actually in the plot of the movie.
Yeah, but they still forced me to listen to it 6 or 7 times.
Okay. You gonna be okay, Tony? We've got some time left before the podcast is over. You need to be able to make it through the whole hour.
Yeah, I think I'll be okay.
Okay. I do not agree with your assessment. I thought the amount of talent it takes to sing anywhere near that level is incredible to me. I could never do that. One problem I have with the movie is knowing a little bit about singing and enjoying singing myself. They make it look a little bit too easy. Like, people are just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna riff on this song and like throw these things in here at the last minute. I'm like, you can't do that. You gotta practice that for like 28 hours before you even get good at it. So maybe I'm wrong.
I've seen like a lot of the people I know that are actually decent singers can just bust it out like after hearing a song once or twice.
Well, it's not about I guess I'm thinking of all the like the parts and the harmony and getting like you can, yes, you can, as a soloist, you can sing a song if you know the song, but for a group to sing a song that well spontaneously it was a little bit unbelievable to me.
I can see that.
Maybe I'm just singing with people that aren't as good as that, I'll freely admit, but it was a little bit like, yeah, music, just kind of throw it together, and then we're like jamming, and you're good, and they had some practice montages a little bit, but it wasn't really a focus of the movie, and there was plenty of times when people just sort of like, yeah, we're singing now, and it works perfectly, even though we had no setup whatsoever.
Before like the final breakdown at the end, they had like a couple of days to practice, and they ended up putting together that like huge like 73-minute like choreographed dance number that was just terrible at the end. Where it was not terrible, and it was not 73 minutes. It was 3.5 minutes, because I went and watched it again this morning, because that song is awesome. I'm pretty sure that was the point on the video where I started crying.
I think I might have liked the Troublemakers song better. Although, I don't know, they were both a lot of fun. But I will say,
they all of a sudden got like the Star Wars nerd to like do something. Built it up the whole time.
Yeah. Although that was a little bit unrealistic too. He's just like, you need to come down and sing because you sang that one time at the beginning of the movie and you had a decent voice, so you can be a lead singer in our group now that you've never practiced with. Boom.
Just don't be weird.
Yeah, like I said, I had a little bit of a problem with the believability of that. But I enjoyed this movie a lot. I had a lot of fun. The music, I got into it. I'm not arguing with Mr. Southcott anymore about whether it was good or not, because it's obviously a matter of taste, and I can't change the way he feels. But I had a lot of fun with the music, and I enjoyed the movie. I thought there was a lot of funny stuff in the movie. Tony, did any of the humor hit for you, or were you so just...
I was so mad that I didn't laugh once, and that's verifiable on the tape. I might have smirked once.
I really,
I think I smirked whenever she made the barf angel.
I like the unnecessarily honest announcers. I don't know why, but that gag gets me every time. They did it in 22 Jump Street as well with the football announcers. I don't know if you remember 22 Jump Street when they did the football announcers, but... I
do. They also did it in, like, Dodgeball and a bunch of other movies. It's something that, whenever it's done right, is great. They did it in Basketball, probably the best. You think you're excited? Feel these nipples!
There was many funny moments with them. A lot of the humor I felt like very fast paced and sort of like shotgun approach to the humor. So it was one of those things where like there's a joke coming about every 30 seconds. So if you didn't get that one, then you'll get the next one. The whole like living with nodes bit was so hilariously overdone. I thought that was
living with nodes.
I am living with nodes. Anyway, however, as much as I enjoyed the movie, once I was done watching it, I kind of like started to think about it, and I was like, this movie's kind of mean. And not just to Mr. Southcott for making him have to listen to music that he didn't want to listen to. There doesn't seem to be any character in this movie that it likes, except for Anna Kendrick and her, like, annoying boyfriend. Maybe.
Yeah, she should have hooked up with the DJ.
Maybe. Those abs, man. I've been working out lately, and I saw that, I was like... There was a day when I've just been like, yeah, alright. And like, now that I'm trying, I'm like, I hate you so much. How do your abs look that good? Dang it! I'm doing my get-up, sit-ups every other day, and it's nowhere close to that.
It's probably years before you get that.
Probably.
Not years, but several months. It's like that thing where you have to work out for like 6 weeks before other people can even really tell a difference. But about 3 weeks in, you start feeling good, so that's alright.
But it wasn't even a movie that was particularly, like, it was a movie about singers, right? It's about people who sing a cappella, and yet it's left and right making fun of them in the movie. Like, if you're gonna show us these great choreographed, scenes that I enjoyed, I know Tony didn't enjoy it, but, like, if you're gonna have all these things, then why are you then gonna turn around and call all the people who are singing nerds and stupid and, like, show how they're all socially awkward, except for, Anna Kendrick, because, Anna Kendrick, she's the best! But she doesn't really take it seriously, right? She's just kind of in it because she's really gonna do this DJ thing later. I just had a major problem with just how mean-spirited it was. I think it's kind of
like they're calling it that before you can. It's like the fat Patricia or whatever.
Maybe? I don't know. I mean, you have Rebel Wilson say that line, and I think she was even helped write some of the script, and I'm sure she wouldn't have said it if she really found it offensive, so I shouldn't get offended, but it seems like that there's a lot of that. There's the one guy who's like the uber nerd, so that, like, the people who are actually nerds can look even less nerdy by comparison. He's like, I'm not just a Star Wars nerd, I also do close-up close-up magic and stuff. I don't know, it was...
Actually, I think I did smile whenever they were like, oh, how long has that been in your coat? And he's like, several days.
And then you have, like...
before the music started.
Any minority character that you have is completely just not even... Like, they're not only are they useless, they're made fun of in various sort of, like, weird ways. The one Asian chick just, like, has that thing where she doesn't talk for no reason, and then the Asian roommate is just rude. One black a cappella group you got, you throw one black a cappella group in the movie. You know what happens to them? They get kicked out for cheating. That is not inclusiveness. That is not how inclusiveness works.
They didn't kick out the black lesbian for cheating.
No, I'm saying the whole group. No, they made her the lesbian because, hey, it's the black chick, and, like, we'll make her the lesbian too, and then we got our bases covered. Hey!
But she also has a gambling problem, so she's more complex.
She was not complex. There were no complex characters in this movie other than Anna Kendrick. A little bit. And holy crap, was that romance just so contrived. The breakup? The breakup so they could make up at the end where he's like, you just push everybody who's trying to love you away. And she's like, I guess I do. And then she
cut the scene with her dad where she's talking about her mom divorcing and all the trauma there. That was that was very, very heavy-handed. That was like me writing for the arena heavy-handed.
It wasn't, but the thing is, for me, even though I can look at it objectively and say it was very heavy-handed, and don't even get me started on the storytelling, like, okay, so you have the prissy, stuck-up, leader of the group, and she wants to do it like they've always done it, and then Anna Kendrick says, maybe we should do it different, and she says, no, we're not going to do it different. And then, in the next scene, you have the prissy, stuck-up girl who's the leader of the group, and she wants to do it all the same way, and Anna Kendrick says, maybe we should do it different. She says, no, we're going to do it different. And then, she's the prissy, stuck-up girl who's leader of the group, and she said, we're going to do it the same way we've always done it, and Anna Kendrick says, maybe we should do it different. She says, no, we're going to do it the same way. 8 freaking times! I mean, I didn't actually count. I don't know if it was actually 8 times, but holy crap, we get it! We get that you have interpersonal conflict over the same thing over and over again. Let that evolve in some way before the very final act.
It was definitely some repetitive drama there. And, like, she just... I don't understand, like, her whole, like, oh, I'm not gonna hold it back this time, and, like, throwing up Exorcist style for, like, 7 minutes.
That was just more of the dumb comedy, I think, really.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, the thing is, when I was experiencing the movie, I enjoyed it a lot. But afterwards, like, thinking about all the stuff, I'm like, this is really shallow. Like, a really shallow film, and most of the reason I enjoyed it was because I found it very funny and I enjoyed the songs. The comedy hits really well, but it doesn't, again, for me, obviously, Tony, you didn't like it. But I laughed a lot, and I enjoyed all the songs. I was pumped up when I got done, and I was like, yes, let's watch the sequel to my wife. That's really gonna, really pumped up for that. But there's nothing there. It's cotton candy. It's fluff and nothing else, and a little bit mean-spirited fluff. And I'm not even saying that, like some of the racism stuff I said, like, it's not, I don't think it's intentional. I don't think they're like,
I never got the feeling that they're like, screw these Asian girls, because they just come to college and be mean to everybody else. Like, it was never malicious.
But it is there.
It's
like,
stereotypical.
Again, you have one black singing group, and they're kicked out of the contest for cheating. If you're gonna put a black group in, like, that's not how you do it.
Yeah.
Just make it some other bland white people. If you're gonna, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too, politically correct here or whatever, but it just seemed very, very tone deaf in that moment.
It definitely, I can see where you're coming from, but like I said, I don't think it was intentional. But, and they, what was the thing? They only had, a high school member, and that's why they were cheating?
Yeah, it wasn't something huge and evil, like they weren't stealing televisions, okay? Obviously they weren't that tone deaf, but it still felt like, yeah, those black people always trying to push the rules, and they're lesbians sometimes. I mean, yeah. It just, obviously we're two white guys, sitting here talking about this, and I wasn't offended or anything, it just felt really out of place in a movie that came out in 2012.
I don't know, man. I identify as Puerto Rican.
You said we got some questions related to this movie?
We did.
From our listeners?
Yeah, 2 of them from the people who lobbied hardest for this movie. And if that video of me heavily drinking and watching this last night comes out, I'm sorry for the things I said to you, Rich. Our first question comes from Rich Alex, at Rich Alex on Twitter. He says, is Pitch Perfect really a musical? Is Hustle and Flow, Straight Outta Compton, Spinal Tap? What constitutes a musical to you? This one, I actually wouldn't consider it a musical in the fact that it doesn't move the plot forward by the songs. It doesn't all of a sudden have these, crazy things where all of a sudden the villain is dancing with the protagonist, and it's just this back and forth thing. It's more of a movie about singing than it is a musical. So that's kind of my take on it.
I actually would disagree. I think maybe there's not any really hard, fast black and white divisions there, but for me, and I mentioned this earlier, there's a lot of spontaneity to the music, and it shows up in places that it kind of makes sense in a way. Like they have the Universal logo, and they have that sung a cappella. I got a kick out of that. I'm sure that
I didn't notice. I was trying to get my Chromecast to work at the very beginning.
Oh, you did? Yeah. They have the ba ba bum 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 bum, actually sung by people. I found that was really funny. And then later on, they use it going into the New York sing-offs at the finals, where they have they kind of tie it in, but it's not like a movie about a musician that actually happened, or, I mean, the performances are one thing, but when they're, they'll cut songs together in ways that, what was it, in the audition, where they had the Fire Away song?
The Kelly Clarkson
that
song.
was in I'm sorry, that's Titanium, that was in the shower. But they had the audition where they had all the people sing, solo, but they cut them together, it wasn't Wrecking Ball either. Although
it was a Kelly Clarkson song, Since You've Been Gone.
Since You've Been Gone, yeah. Those are very similar songs now that I think about it. Anyway.
I guess they kind of are.
Just
I will tell you one thing that's musical that will always make me smile. There's a man on YouTube, and I wish I knew his name. He's a very long-haired, bearded dude, kind of a Jesus-looking guy. And his entire shtick is that he just sings like Lady Gaga and Miley Cyrus songs on chat roulette.
Oh yeah?
And there is something about the enthusiasm that he forces into that as he's wearing like a bikini and like all this like singing like Lady Gaga and everything. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and it needs to be in the link dump because if you haven't seen this, you could bottle this as a cure for depression.
And this is from Mr. Southcott, who hates people singing. You still had to throw in there that he was forcing himself. Like, he couldn't actually be enjoying singing, Tony. That's not possible.
He's putting, like, so much enthusiasm. There's nothing forced about that. Like, I'm saying he's forcing himself to wear a wig and bikini and bounce around on a ball singing Wrecking Ball.
Okay.
So, like, it's horrific and hilarious at the same time.
Have you seen the trailer for The Night Before with Jonah Hill and what's his face, Cobra Commander and Falcon?
Cobra Commander.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Anthony Mackie. There we go.
I have not.
Oh, okay. That song, that trailer features Wrecking Ball as one of the, like, they reference it in the trailer and then they play it, and it makes me like Wrecking Ball more than I already like Wrecking Ball. And I know that's not cool to like that song, but, like, just the song, the video is retarded, but the song is a lot of fun. And, yeah.
It's popular to hate on Miley Cyrus right now, and, like, I'm not a guy who's gonna go and search it out. But someone brought up to me a cover she did of that old song Jolene, and she's definitely got some pipes, despite being or she's going through some of the whole, like, I was a child star, now I'm just going to rebel against everything. Like, her singing talent isn't really the issue, it's just that she's kind of a freak. I'm okay with freaks.
Did you say we had another question, Tony? I thought you said we had two.
We do. The next question is from Mortem Posts, at Mortem Posts on Twitter. Jen asks, will you be watching Pitch Perfect 2? There's always next viewer's choice. And probably just because of my reaction so far, like, people are going to remember that and force Pitch Perfect 2 on me. If it's at all possible, like, I will not be watching Pitch Perfect 2. Like, I will make a video a la John Jones, like, going against it, but that's like the Streisand effect. Like, I would just have to promote everything else.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, I would just have to, like, make my own slate all like Sad Puppy style and, like, just make it so that I'm promoting a bunch of other stuff instead of that. Like, I couldn't even mention Pitch Perfect 2.
I would, first of all, personally, I think I probably will, when it comes out in Redbox. I'm not going to own it any more than I'm probably going to own this one, but I like the music, and I'd like to see what more they do with the music, and I like the humor, so hopefully there's more of that as well. But I would like for our listeners to be more creative than to nominate Pitch Perfect 2 next year. Just because, I don't know, I think that's lazy. You guys can do better than nominating Pitch Perfect 2. There are other musicals, okay?
And it's funny because we fall into some of the same lazy loops, too. Like, I bet you for our Christmas episode, we're going to watch Die Hard 3.
I don't know. I might make you watch Patchtown, Tony.
For Christmas?
That's kind of a Christmas movie.
Is it?
Have you heard of Patchtown?
I have. I have a little bit. I know that you were talking about it, and you were saying you kind of wanted to do a review with Hannah Newell on that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Me and her do a lot of Tony Failure stuff. You wouldn't like it because there's singing. It doesn't exactly move the plot forward. It just pops up. It's a very, very odd movie. Like, really just offbeat and unexpected. I don't know. I saw it. I have no idea how anybody else would react to it because I just happened to see it on Netflix. It was a suggested thing, which I don't know how they come up with those suggested things, Tony. Like at the top, you know how you have your browser of Netflix when you go on your console or whatever, or your Roku or something, as what I use, and they have like the top featured movie. It's almost never something good. Or like something that you're like, man, I really want to see that. It feels like it's something
that they're like heavily promoting. It's usually some a Netflix original like comedy special or something like that. And a lot of the stuff that's been up there for me has been good. But there's also a lot of stuff that's like, I would not watch that show if I was forced to.
I mean, it's not like really bad stuff. It's just sort of like middling B-movie kind of nothing really to grab you. And I don't know, maybe there's some really great stuff on Netflix, but it seems to me like half the time they're just like, all right, well, this server is not doing very much. Let's promote this movie. But somewhere in that list, I happened to see Patchtown. I just clicked on it. And I remember, like, the night that I started watching it, I watched about 20 minutes, and I had to stop because, for me, it was, like, so intense. And I was like, oh, I was a little bit tired that night, and it was just, like, really grabbing my brain and, like, yanking it out my ear. I was like, okay. I gotta watch this when I'm not this tired, because I want to fully enjoy this. This is crazy and weird and awesome. It's a story about how that this, like, mad scientist inventor guy found the Cabbage Patch that brings forth babies, which is apparently, like, not just a toy, but also an old Russian myth this is based on. And so there are babies coming out of these cabbages, and he can't take care of them all, so he turns them into dolls, which freezes them in their doll state and sends them out into the world to be taken care of by kids. Then they come back to him after the kids are done and grown up, and they turn into, people at that point, grown up people. But the son takes over, and because he's mad that his dad, was giving all his time to all these Cabbage Patch Kids, so he takes over and, makes a factory that makes dolls out of these fetuses. And so the opening shot of the movie is, somebody cutting a human fetus out of a cabbage and, turning it into a doll to send out. It's so weird. And then just at random sporadic moments, there would be singing through that. I really enjoyed it, and then I went on Reddit.
I could probably enjoy that movie.
Do
probably.
What?
I think I could probably enjoy that movie despite the singing.
I don't know.
Probably why it's got a 5 out of 10 is just because of the singing.
A lot of other people really didn't seem to like it, and I thought that, I don't know, maybe I'm just a sucker for quirky, but it was very quirky and a lot of fun, and I was reading reviews of it that were like, this movie, I'm subscribed to the Reddit subreddit Bad Movies, and it popped up on Bad Movies, and it made me, I was like, this is not a bad movie! What is wrong with you people? Patchtown is awesome! Yeah,
but you also get mad whenever they put, that mermaid movie up there. I'm trying to remember.
Well, because that's not a bad, that's not an enjoyably bad movie. It's maybe mediocre. When I go to bad movies, I'm looking for Zombievers or Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies or, Robo Shark. Okay? Yeah. I'm looking for those movies. Killer Mermaid is not like that. Competent, cinematography, the acting's a little bit, but the visual effects are really cool, and I just thought that movie was mostly fine. Not anything I'm going to write home about and tell you guys, you got to go watch Killer Mermaid, but I didn't feel like I wasted my time or that I, could laugh at it or anything. It's not like Three-Headed Shark Attack.
Yeah.
People need to raise their standards for bad movies. Come on.
I think a lot of people just saw the poster and assumed that.
Maybe. Even people who like bad movies I don't get along with, Tony. I'm very, very weird. But, so they post a negative review, and at that point I hadn't finished watching the movie. It's maybe it really goes downhill at the end. But it didn't really. I felt like the ending was a little bit weak compared to the rest of the movie, but I liked it. And it's got kind of a Christmas theme. There's a lot set in winter. There's a whole invasion of Santas at the end.
An invasion of Santas?
Yes.
It took me a moment to parse that. It took me, and all of a sudden I thought of a Happy Wheels game where it's just Santa's falling all over the place.
Just imagine a whole bunch of guys in Santa costumes charging across a big field and into a factory.
I like the visual, especially if they're more Krampus Santas.
Unfortunately, they're not. Unfortunately, they're just regular. They're actually guys who dress up as Santas, and I don't want to say too much more because I'll give spoilers away for people movie that nobody on here is going to watch. But I enjoyed it.
I think that, like, there's probably a pretty good sized group of people that listen to this podcast that end up watching a lot of the movies we suggest. At least that's what I see on Twitter. Like, even people that don't write in questions, I'll get like 3 messages about like, oh, why don't you guys do a full review of that movie? So, I think
maybe
there's
eventually we
that.
will. But I like the villain. I thought he was pretty cool. He has like a cool hat, and
I saw the poster.
Also, he's the guy in Ejecta. If you've seen that movie on Netflix, very weird. I'd never heard of that actor before, and all of a sudden he's in 2 movies I watched in the same week.
We kind of had that happen with like The Guest and It Follows, like the same girl from that. She was all of a sudden in a lot.
Yeah, but she's younger, so you can kind of see like maybe she's just now coming on the screen. This guy is like older, at least 50, I would say. And very like gaunt looking, unique kind of face. So maybe I've seen him in something and I should have recognized him, but anyway. I recommend, if you're into quirky movies, to check out Patchtown, because it has a lot of fun and a lot of humor. I like the songs. They come out of like the songs in that movie. I know how musicals are, and they like it doesn't feel like, but they have maybe 4 songs, and they come at you when you're not expecting. Like at the very beginning, there's a song, and he starts singing, and you're like, is this a musical? Okay, and then he stops singing, and they don't sing for like 30 minutes. And then eventually he pops back up and he's like, and one guy's like talking in rhyme for no reason. You're like, oh, okay, he's gonna bust in a song here. And then it just turns out, no, he's just his character just talks in rhyme.
Yeah, he's like the leprechaun.
There's a great joke in that where the bad guy sends one of his henchmen to pick up a little girl, because he's got an evil plan and he's gonna kidnap this little girl. He kidnaps the little girl, and she gets out of the back of the SUV. The henchman's still in the SUV. The bad guy leans down and is like, "Did you eat all of the delicious beets that I sent you?" And she shakes her head no. And then the henchman gets out and he's got beet juice all over his face. That joke! Like, so many levels on that joke. Like, probably 3, but still.
It's so confusing.
There's so many like little punchlines in there where like, why would he expect her to like beets, and then like to realize that like it wasn't like he actually thinks the beets are good, and then the henchman had actually eaten the beets because he likes the. I love that. It's like that cricket joke in Penguins of Madagascar.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's well crafted. I think we actually got some extra questions.
Well, hit me with some extra questions, Tony. Fire away.
Comic Noobs, which is another podcast on wherever you get your podcasts. It's kind of a fragmented thing these days. But yeah, they're a comedy podcast, Comic Noobs, on Twitter. And whenever my phone wants to go back, they're asking, is there any chance of hearing Albert and Tony sing an a cappella song on the show? And the answer is yes, if you want to go back to episode 101 towards the end.
What did we sing?
You dropped a beat.
Yeah, I guess that technically counts.
Because that was a cappella.
That was a cappella.
And I was sort of singing.
That was rapping, although they do have that in this movie as well.
Yeah, they tried to pretty up the rapping a little bit, which is okay.
I gotta say, speaking of the rapping in this movie, there's that Cup song that Anna Kendrick does at the beginning. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
which, by the way,
it's been on the radio for like a long time. Ever since this movie came out, I still hear it on the radio occasionally.
Have you seen the music video for that song?
Yeah, where she's in a diner.
Oh, you have seen it? Okay.
Yeah.
I had not seen it until this time, and like I was watching Pitch Perfect videos. I didn't particularly like the song as it was presented in the movie, but watching
that half-assed it in that.
I guess.
Like it wasn't projected out.
That music video with the long take where like 50 people have to be in sync with their cups. That must have been so stressful.
Yeah.
I was like, watching long takes like that, it's not super, I mean, you've seen longer takes, but it's maybe 2 minutes, and it's, following her around, and she's interacting with people, and they're all doing the rhythm thing with their cups. And nobody can screw that up. I don't know. I'm sure she's not actually singing. I can definitely see how that would be
just incredibly stressful, especially like you've got the camera running around, you've got everybody moving, and like if one person slips, all of a sudden it's another take. You got to reset everything. It's going to take another 20 minutes before you're ready for the next take. Like I'm sure you could use some creative editing cuts and everything, but I didn't see any tricks in that.
Yeah, they do cut in the video, there are cuts, but, like, there is a very long segment of just following her and the cups going, and it's really well done. So, like, as much as I'm not actually a giant fan of that song, I like, the visual of that was amazing.
Yeah. That was why it was actually shown to me, is we were talking about long cuts with some friends, and they were like, I want you to see this video. And, like, I was like, props to the people who made the video, even if the song is just, like, kind of, it's not my thing. It's a little poppy, but whatever.
I don't think it was that poppy. I thought it was kind of, I don't know, it was a lot quieter than what I would associate with pop, but anyway. What was the other, did you say you've got another one?
Yeah, the next question is, also from Comic Noobs. If you had to do an a cappella finale for your favorite movie, what song would it be?
My favorite movie gets an a cappella. Man, my favorite movie would not work with singing at all.
Mega Shark?
No, The Fall.
It could almost work because of how fantastical it is, but it wouldn't work with that particular ending.
I could see maybe, like, okay, getting myself out of the mode of Pitch Perfect here, I could see Roy singing to Alexandra at the end, and her singing along like a little girl, and not doing it up, just a cappella, like them singing together. I could see that working in a certain context with a certain ending of that movie if you change things up a little bit. So maybe I could see it. By the way, for those of you who haven't seen The Fall, it's amazing. Like, my favorite movie of ever, and you should check it out.
It's like our 4th review ever. It's a long time ago that we watched this, but it was a movie that really stuck with me. It was beautiful.
What is your favorite movie, Tony, and how would the a cappella ending go to that?
I've been trying to think of what my favorite movie actually is, and it's, like, anytime somebody asks me that, I freeze up, and I'm like, give me about 2.5 hours, and I'll give you a genre list of my top 5 from every different genre, because you can't, like, really put any of them above the other. So that's a really, really hard question for me. It'd be like, so I'm trying to, like, at least localize it to one movie where there could be a good a cappella ending, because I don't think you can
Terminator
have, like,
2. Go.
I was actually going to say Aliens. Like the Queen aliens just, like, there, like, pounding on stuff.
And all the aliens going, ah!
Yeah.
Ah! Never, never, never. Ah!
Like, and then you've got, like, the hydraulic suit making, like, particular noises and everything as it moves around.
I was thinking of the end. I was literally thinking of the ending of T2. Like, you get to the part where he goes down into the lava with his thumb up, and then, like, it pauses, and you get, like, that blurry, like, VHS pause, and then it rewinds, and the thumb, and he comes back up, and he, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all the people in the movie just start dropping a beat, but acapella style in that metal factory. Oh yeah.
And it's so weird to me, like, how music can affect me, because if I start hearing, like, the Terminator soundtrack, like, it almost brings tears to my eyes, because it's that good. Like, especially the part where they're, like, lowering him into the lava and everything. Like, there's just so many, like, that's an underrated score for a movie. Nobody really talks about that. Everybody remembers it, but nobody really talks about it. Because it's not like Danny Elfman or something like that. It's just, that was...
Who did write the score for Terminator?
I am not sure.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, pull that up, and I'm going to look, because it looks like we're actually getting more questions as this is going on. Like, we just got another couple questions. It's like they knew that we didn't have a whole lot to talk about today. Geek Girl Colorado asks, which is Geek Girl Co. on Twitter, asks, can either of you do the cup thing? Please demonstrate. I don't have a cup near me.
This one's full of coffee, so no.
Like, well, this probably wasn't a thing for you because you were homeschooled, but they brought those cups, like those stacking cups, into our school a bunch of times, and we actually did that as part of gym class, where you're, like, just trying to, like, stack the cups as fast as possible, and people would actually make pretty good, like, beats and everything while they were stacking the cups. It was pretty interesting. Like, part of it became as acoustic as it was about speed. Like, there was just these weird, like, stacking cups. We even had, like, an assembly where they brought in these people that were really, really fast at it to show us how to do it. It was kind of odd.
But not the rhythm thing.
Yeah, they didn't do the rhythm thing, but like a bunch of kids kind of naturally did that on their own. Like it wasn't part of the assembly, but people would do like cups and making like the noises and tapping them and doing all that, especially because there were like 10 kids with those cups. So every once in a while it would turn into like a bongo circle.
Okay, just to come back to the earlier question, the person who did the score for Terminator, all the Terminator movies actually, is Brad Fiedel, or Fidel. I don't know exactly how it's pronounced.
Yeah, I'm not
you
sure.
You have not heard of
that
him because that's basically all he's done. Like, okay, Fright Night he did. I've kind of heard of that.
Pretty big.
The Big Easy I've heard of. Fright Night 2. Blue Steel is that helicopter movie, right?
I think so. Anytime I hear like Blue Steel, I end up thinking of Zoolander.
You did 1992's Gladiator, so not the Gladiator that we're familiar with.
Yeah, which that has a great score, but it's not his.
Stolen from I believe Mars, Bringer of War, by whoever composed that. True Lies he did.
That was good. I don't remember much about the music on that, but I like the movie.
Johnny Mnemonic, and then all the other ones are just
Keanu
Terminator.
Reeves action.
He may have died now that I think about it, because the last one he composed. No, he's still looks like he's still alive. He just stopped working in '99. He worked on like the theme for the Terminator movies that came out later. You know, the dun 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 dun. Like I guess he reprised it, so they reprised it, so they put him as a credit. But yeah, not heard anything about that guy. But you know, he did at least one cool thing.
Yeah. So good on you, Fidel.
Fidel Castro.
All these questions are about Pitch Perfect.
Everybody loves Pitch Perfect, man. Hit me with another one.
Francis, at @sortageek on Twitter, asks, on a scale of 10 to 11, how great was that movie? You're going to miss me by my taco, is what he says.
What about his taco?
It's, I'm pretty sure that's some innuendo about the song that Anna Kendrick sings.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it would, yeah, that's a little odd. But on a scale from 10 to 11, it would be a 10 because that's the bottom of the scale.
Oh, you're not going to get snarky and be like a negative 10?
I was actually a little bit concerned about this last night as I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, so the scale of 1 to 5 stars has to start with 1. You can't give it 0 stars because Netflix, Amazon, and all those guys have deemed that you cannot give less than 1 star. And I was a little bit freaked out that they were going to have lesbians in it, which would force me to give it a 2nd star. But because it was all
you mean like that you could see doing lesbian things?
Like, mentioning it doesn't count. You have to show it. I was like, oh, they're naked in the shower. Like, this could be it. This could put it up to 2 stars. No, it was all a tease.
Yeah, well, you know, it's PG-13, so you're not going to get anything really fun from that.
Yeah. But that was the movie's chance to bring it up to 2 stars, and it missed that opportunity. Because I am obviously the target audience.
And she was a ginger and everything.
Yeah.
And the other one was Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
Who, regardless of sort of my feelings about the plot in this movie and how she's basically the only character that matters, she's really cute.
Yeah, she always is. Like, I somehow didn't notice her until, like, end of watch. Now she's, like, in everything.
Well, she wasn't a lot before. I mean, this was kind of the movie that really put her on the map, so to speak. She was not a big household name before this, and then this comes out, and I think End of Watch was like the next year or the year before it. But then she's really kind of hit bigger.
Yeah. So,
speaking of the how many stars you can give to something that you're rating, I wanted to bring something up. We're actually running low on time a little bit. But I was fascinated this week by a rating of a particular book that I saw getting really, really low reviews. And it was the new Star Wars book, Aftermath, by Chuck Wendig. Did you hear about this, Tony?
I was just passing through, like, IGN, I think, and I saw that it kind of got lambasted by the reviewer there. And then I looked a little bit more, and all the major reviewing sites were kind of trashing it, which surprised me because, like, Chuck Wendig, like, he's very good at writing about writing, and he's a serviceable, like, novelist. Like, we've done Double Dead on this show before. We've talked about him a lot, and there are some books of his that I like, some that are okay, like, but you wouldn't expect someone, given the Star Wars universe, to actually have a lot of hate thrown at them over this.
I was, for one thing, I didn't see that many major review sites giving it a really bad review. The IGN one was even sort of like, Chuck's got a good style, but it doesn't really suit this book, and, we're not particularly fans of the characters. I didn't think that they were ripping it a new one. But if you go to the user reviews on Amazon, that book has 2 stars at the point that we're recording this.
Yeah, I saw Chuck talking about on Twitter today that he was really hoping that some people would get out there and try to even out the rating a little bit. He also did something that authors aren't supposed to do. He said, and if you've got something negative to say about it, go scream into a pillow until you're satisfied, instead of reviewing it. But I think I would react pretty much the same way.
It was interesting to me, first of all, because I don't think that the book deserves that, Tony. I'm listening to the audio version of Aftermath, and I gotta say, it's not the greatest thing I've ever heard. I'm not, gonna tell you that, oh my gosh, this is the best. But I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And especially the Audible edition is full audio produced with music, and it's the Star Wars music, and then sound effects and things happening and all the stuff in the background layered into the story, and the guy does an incredible job on the voices. So that adds a little bit of value, but even on Audible people were like, this book sucks. And I didn't get it. I don't understand. There was a lot of people
easy to mess up, or to mess up in the perception of people whenever you're not working with your original content. I think that's a big part of the problem. It's why that game Shadows of Mordor, being a huge success, surprised so many people, because anytime you try to do an offshoot in an already established universe, you're playing with fire. And whenever you haven't been a part of that for a while, like Kevin J. Anderson and all these other people, Terry Brooks, that have made dozens of good Star Wars books, some of which have hit bestseller lists, it's hard to get people's trust on it.
Well, and I know that he has a particular writing style, and he chose to write this in present tense, and a lot of the reviews were apparently people hate having Star Wars written in present tense. I don't know if any other novels in the EU have done that, either in the past or in the current iteration of the Extended Universe. But I thought it, again, I'm not here to tell you that it's the best book in the world, but I'm also saying, what the crap, 2 stars? 2 stars is not what this book deserves, Tony. This is a 3.5 star book. I don't know. I'm having fun listening to it. I'm not finished with it yet. Maybe it just takes a giant tank turn at the end, but he has some cool stuff in here. There's some interesting characters. He has a battle droid from the episode 1 battle droids, but it's been retrofitted into an assassin sort of bodyguard droid, and his name's Mr. Bones, and I thought that character was pretty rad.
Yeah, that's apparently one of the things that bothers people the most. And they're and the abysmal Mr. Bones. That's this episode's Jar Jar, or that book's Jar Jar.
I thought he was cool, man. They call, for one thing, he's called Mr. Bones because he's a B1. Get it? B-O-N-E, Bones.
Yeah.
But also, he's got, a whole bunch of animal bones, tied onto his body. So, he's got a different profile than the regular battle droids, and he just, kills everything. And he's a great sort of Deus Ex Machina to show up, and, I don't know, having a Terminator type droid be, one of those battle droids, I thought was kind of a hilarious subversion, but I guess not. I don't know.
It could, half of that could just be the name of him. If they would have just kept it as B1 or something like that, or a slightly modified version, people would have probably liked it better. People are so nitpicky about expanded universe stuff, though.
I guess.
Some people have said it's because he has gay characters, but that's happened in the expanded universe before, so I don't think it's that. People are saying that it's overly political, but from the reviews I read and what you were saying earlier, it's not that political. It just seems like it didn't resonate with people.
I haven't got to a point where a main character is gay yet. Maybe that happens. I got a few hours left until the end of the book. maybe that shows up and people were mad about that, but I didn't, like, there are right now, there are two side characters that are married, two women that are married to each other, and they don't factor into the plot hardly at all. They're just like, yep, those are your aunts. They have some dialogue and we talk to them, but in this day and age, like, that's what people are going to get up in arms about in Star Wars.
Sounds pretty tame.
I don't know. It just seems it's an odd reaction. The way this strikes me is, if people are this negative on this book, how awesome must all the other Star Wars books be? Because I haven't heard anybody ragging on, Lords of the Sith or what. I mean, I've heard people say really great things about Lords of the Sith, and now that I've heard people say, yeah, man, this book's terrible, Lords of the Sith, I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll maybe check that one out. I don't know. It's a very, very weird sort of dilemma to find yourself in.
And it could suffer from some of the things like Fantastic Four suffered for. Once something becomes a punching bag, like, the momentum just carries it through.
Yeah, I think that there were a lot of people, too, that were expecting more plot details as far as, like, what happens to the big three after the episode. But I actually really enjoyed, you talked about being political, but it was a kind of a great balance of, showing the Empire as, and I think that a lot of going forward, the movies are going to do this, too, okay, in the original Star Wars, they're just like the evil bad guys, and they're the big, but this takes the Empire and says, okay, but really, like, they must have done some good. People support them. People go off to fight for them. They aren't,
it's a volunteer army. It's
right.
not like the clones.
So it was interesting to me that was, that they were bringing that out more and talking about, like, hey, the Empire, yes, it was bad, but it also, it was a source of stability in the universe, and now that the Empire's gone, there's a lot of places that are kind of falling into chaos, and other people, like, swooping in because the rebels are way small and they can't really, control everything, and they're, they've got a lot on their plate now. They're not going to be able to
enforce galaxy-wide protection for people.
Yeah, so Anyway, I really enjoyed it. There's some interesting sort of more sympathetic Empire characters that have that very, approach about, like, we are the source of control in the galaxy, and you may not like control, but it's safer that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm enjoying it. It's one of the few audiobooks too. Like, a lot of the books that I've listened to in the past have been heavier, and maybe you could argue better, but I didn't want to listen to them all at once, so, like, alright, I've had enough of this. But with this one, I'm just kind of, like, zipping through. I'm like, alright, what happens next?
Yeah.
Like, what are they gonna, what's the next big turn or twist, or, who are they gonna go and rescue now, and I don't know.
I'm currently enjoying listening to Terms of Enlistment by Marco Cluse.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's actually a friend of Chuck's. They have some pretty funny dialogue back and forth if you follow both of them on Twitter.
I used to. I don't think I do anymore. Excuse me. But I used to follow them, both of them. What is that one about?
What's that?
What is Terms of Enlistment about?
It's basically I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's following a young man who became a soldier for Earth's Army. It's a sci-fi novel. We've got some stuff in the stars. Like, I'm early enough in it that I don't really know what all they're fighting. That's the main complaint I have so far, is, like, I'm a quarter of the way through the book, and so far it's just following this character, but I don't understand why they're fighting and what they're fighting. The only thing that they've fought so far is other humans in poor cities. They've done riot control, they've helped an embassy, they've done some other stuff, but I feel like there's something building, like the main character doesn't fully know. And I'm interested to see, but it's a very well-written book, and I love the narrator. I'm not sure who the narrator is, but he's definitely selling it. And
yeah,
so
I was going to say, again, from my perspective, one of the biggest selling points for me for the Star Wars Aftermath in the Audible thing, because I knew it was coming, and I wasn't really interested, because I'm not Chuck Wendig's biggest fan. But there was a lot of people because I listened to some Star Wars talk shows, and they were talking about, oh man, Aftermath is going to have all the answers, and they were excited. And I was like, you guys, I've read Chuck Wendig's books. You may not like it as much as you hope that you're going to like it, whatever. But I like him, and I like their enthusiasm, so I had it on my radar coming up.
Yeah.
And I was still not sure if I was going to get it or not, and I had an Audible credit, and I was like, I'll listen and see what the thing is. And once I heard that it was, like, full production with sound, as far, like, sound effects and music, I was like, alright, I'm in. There is not enough of those books. By the way, for those of you, if any of you guys have heard the other Star Wars books, if they are like that, if Lords of the Sith is full production value, like, sound effects and music and all that stuff, I'm in for that book as well next month. So
I imagine it's got to be so much more fun to be an editor on a project like that, where you can put in the music, you can have a larger cast, because a lot of those audiobooks is just cut and dry, like, all right, this reading of this paragraph was better than the rest. Like, you're just piecing it together, putting the book, like, fully out there. I think it'd be so much cooler to actually be able to use that licensed material, so, like, be a small part of the whole Star Wars world. So that'd be pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and you have the stuff that's already there. You know, you have, like, the music. It starts out with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then they have the... And it says, Penguin Random House presents Star Wars Aftermath. As the music plays in the background, I'm like, yes! I'm excited already! It's just the title!
Anyway, I think that's going to about do it for us this week.
Okay, well, that'll wrap it up for us. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, we could really use your help. If you go to humanechoes.com and scroll down a little bit, there's a button on the site on the right-hand side that says Become a Member today for awesome bonus content. You click that. There are like 5 different membership levels. You subscribe at any one of those levels, and you're going to get our awesome bi-monthly bonus podcast and help us produce this one. And we love our sponsors. You got the Oak Juice Connoisseur at $2 a month, Sweet Beater at $5 a month. By the way, reference to that Sweet Beats. That's where Sweet Beats came in, Tony. Acapella at the end of 101. What? Tony and Al's personal barber.
I was so happy that you actually dropped a beat. I thought you were going to be like, I don't know how to drop a beat, and then I was going to do it alone.
The Spoiler at $20 a month, and the Magnificent Octo Shark at $1,000 per month. That is a joke.
And unless you have like a 10-digit bank account, please don't take that seriously.
Anyway, we appreciate you guys listening. Next week we'll be back with Forbidden Planet, the only
classic
movie this month that does not have music singing in it, that it does black and white, and there is a robot. I don't know where this one came from, Tony, honestly.
I'm pretty sure Rich was the one that was lobbying for this one, too. Like, he told me, like, I might have forced you to watch Pitch Perfect, but at least I gave you a robot. So I'd have to go back and look at everything that happened with that, but I'm a lot more enthusiastic and excited about this one. Just a reminder, we are probably going to be doing a live stream for our Rocky Horror Picture Show. We're trying to figure out the details now, so stay tuned for that. We will let you know on our social media stuff, at HE Podcast on Twitter. Search Human Echoes Podcast on Facebook. And thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.